All right, Noah, let's pick it up from yesterday. Remember, we had the Game Time Top 20 Countdown. It's going to be beginning on Monday. Top 20 teams. And yesterday we talked about the back end, who belongs, who doesn't belong. We're going to put Oklahoma in the back end. What about Texas Tech? What about A&M? Where are they going to slot? And you'll start to find that outcome next week. But let's flip it over and go to the top. Let me ask it this way. Because preseason polls don't matter, we know this, but if you had to make a bet, who would be your most likely bet, not to win the national title, but to be the number one seed when the tournament comes around, right? Because last year was Oregon, and we know what they didn't end up doing, right? They got blitzed by Ohio State in the Natty game. But who's the team the most? And that's probably how I'm going to frame my number one team when we get to our Game Time Top 20 Countdown. It could be Penn State, could be Texas, could be Ohio State, but I'm going to argue for Clemson. And here's why. Clemson has a favorable schedule, and you know a stat that I like a lot, returning production percentages.
Number uno in the country.
Clemson brings back 81% of their returning production from last year's team who won the ACC, made the playoff, and gave Texas a hell of a game before losing and back in on December 21st. 81% of their returning production. 86% of their offense is back, including Cade Klubnik. So their whole offensive line, all the receivers. The only thing they're replacing, essentially, is Phil Mafah, the running back, who was a good player, not a great player. Okay, well, can we find a running back at Clemson? If you do, look out. And they return 75% of their defense. And they've added Tom Allen to run their defense. So, again, I'm not saying they're going to win the national title, but if I say who's going to be the one seed, who's going to have the best regular season, I'm going to push Clemson as an argument because Clemson, not only that, they have a schedule that starts with LSU at home. They win that game. The rest of the schedule, have a look at it. There's a game at South Carolina late, the last game of the regular season. That's going to be tough for them. But they play at North Carolina. They don't play it. I mean, they could be a team that's sitting there if they beat LSU at 11-1, 12-0 kind of thing, going to the ACC championship game potentially. That would put them, even if they were to lose to South Carolina later or LSU, you go 11-1, win the ACC, you're going to be the one seed.
Yeah, and they have a lot of returning guys, obviously. Number one in the country. They have Cade Klubnik, who looked fantastic, even against Texas defense. And their defense is only going to get better because a lot of those guys we saw last year that were getting kind of shredded up,
their D-line's
all freshmen.
Their D-line's for real, y'all. Their D-line.
That's Peter Woods you're referring to. That's TJ Parker you're referring to. A lot of cats. Terrell's there, the younger brother to the stud corner in the NFL right now, who was also at Clemson. So, yeah, I think, especially if you get one of those two SEC matchups, if you beat LSU, we know how LSU is in those opener games. You usually don't win them. They could lose this one. Or if you get one of the two with South Carolina, yeah, I think it's kind of a cakewalk for their ACC schedule. I think that's a good pick. I would say Penn State, I'm going to throw in the mix. Can they win the Big Ten is going to be my question. Sure. I think they're going to be in the championship game. You got to go to Columbus. But besides that, they should be 11-1. They should beat Oregon at home early on.
Yeah, I mean, those
would be my two teams probably. Throw in a Texas or one of the SEC teams.
Yeah, I mean, Texas.
But yeah, Clemson's on this list for sure.
I think Texas right now is let's get to the playoff, right? With three road trips where you're going to Columbus, Gainesville, and Athens, and then manageable beyond that. But an Oklahoma game that's going to be tougher than it was.
100%.
You're just trying to get in the playoffs. Clemson, I think, again, LSU early. That is a statement. The same day Texas plays Ohio State in 30 days, that night, 6:30 from their Death Valley.
So you're getting at the crib.
You're getting LSU, and you got all offseason to prepare. Then there's a sneaky game they got to play at Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
the Ramblin' Wreck.
I like Georgia Tech.
That's a
Haynes
one to watch.
King.
But again, when you have a vet, like I know Penn State and Clemson both bring back really good veteran quarterbacks, Drew Aller and Cade Klubnik. But I think Cade Klubnik's the best quarterback in the country, and I think as much as people like Drew Aller or Arch Manning or whoever's going to win the Ohio State battle.
Russ Meyer.
I mean, this dude's a dude, man. I mean, he's a competitor.
He's
can run. He can throw. We saw him make elite throws against Texas in secondary last year to young receivers who are now a year better. I just think Clemson has a team that's built, and I know we've been piling on Dabo Swinney about not using the portal. He's actually used the portal.
He has.
This offseason because I think he sees an opportunity here with this schedule. But I think Clemson would be a team that I would put my money on to beat the number one. I don't know if they can run it and win the national title. That's debatable. But when I'm building the preseason top 20, I'm thinking who's going to be the one seed? Because once you get to the tournaments, we found out the 8 seed can win the whole damn thing like Ohio State did.
Right.
But who's going to be the top team going into the tournament? I think that I'm going to pick Clemson as that.
I trust Clemson way more in Dabo Swinney, the jokes we made doesn't matter, than I trusted James Franklin, right? I mean, those are two teams that have so much returning quarterbacks that are good, but I do think Cade Klubnik's even better than Drew Aller. I think that if you look at statistically how much he progressed from 23 to 24, those seasons, it is unbelievable how good he was last year. Well, and we saw it here at DKR in that playoff game. He was fantastic.
Well, let me say this also about Cade Klubnik. He's playing in the third year in a row with the same coordinator, Garrett Riley.
Yeah.
Garrett Riley, who came from TCU. He helped.
That's Lincoln's brother.
Lincoln's brother. Remember when TCU played for the national championship with Max Duggan? He was the offensive coordinator.
Put 50 on Michigan's head.
Yeah, and now, it's 3 years running with Cade with that offense. I think that's a team that's going to be tough. And I think as much as I'm bullish on LSU this year, that's a tough opener for Garrett Nussmeier. But that's as good as the game as Ohio State to Texas is, and it's a great one. That LSU Clemson does not take much of a backseat to it as far as NFL players, quarterbacks. Because again, everybody else that wants to win the national title, Cade Klubnik can win you a national championship. I saw him win state championships in Texas at Westlake. I have questions about Drew Aller's ability to go to a new gear. Everybody else who's a contender, you got to tell me what their quarterback is. I mean, Nussmeier, I guess, but is LSU a true national title contender? Maybe. But, Alabama's got to find a quarterback. Arch Manning's got to prove that he's what the hype is all about and show everybody that. Ohio State's got to pick a quarterback. Oregon's got to pick a new quarterback. All these teams, I have a known commodity in that dude at Clemson.
100%. And we see it here, even the LSU game, because it's home. I mean, it is right now 3-point spread. I think Clemson, there's a good shot, depending on what South Carolina is at the last week of the year, that they're favored in every single game.
I agree.
So that indicates that
Georgia Tech game is sneaky.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know me. I told you.
11
I'm a Georgia
game.
Tech guy. I'm an advocate for getting them in the top 20.
That game is in Atlanta. So pretty short trip for them. There's also a Dabo head-to-head with Bill Belichick at North Carolina in early October.
Jordan, is she going to be there?
Oh, of course.
Set her up to the booth.
They host SMU in middle of October.
That's a tough game for SMU
at
to
Death
go
Valley.
out there.
They host Florida State, and who knows what Mike Norvell's team going to be this year. And then that really fun game late in the year. They got road trips in November to Louisville and South Carolina. So it's not an easy schedule by any stretch, but Clemson, I think, with 81% of returning players, plus some portal additions, plus you give me Cade Klubnik in the same offense year 3, and where he is, I'm going to go with them because everybody's. Penn State's got a great argument. Texas, if Ohio State finds a quarterback, they're going to be really good. And I think LSU, that game, that may be with those two quarterbacks, man. Those are the two most proven commodities at that position in all of college football playing on Saturday night.
Have we had a week 1 like this with 2 matchups of that prestige? I mean, those are. You could debate all 4 of those teams. LSU would be the one. It's
if LSU's defense comes along and they find a running game, sure they could. With those quarterbacks, yes, you can. But Brian Kelly, James Franklin, Steve Sarkisian. Here we go. This is what it's all about. All right, looking forward to it. We'll take your thoughts. It'll start on Monday with the team number 20, but obviously 20 shows later, it'll be number 1. I'm going to push for Clemson. We'll talk about all the best teams that week leading up to the opening weekend, which is as good an opening weekend as we've had.
They are a decent amount better than any team in the ACC. That's what I feel the best about.
I think you're right about that. I think you're right. And Texas, are they a decent amount better than everybody in the SEC? I don't know.
Is Ohio State or Penn State?
Because, look, when you're looking at this, the heavy favorite to win the ACC is Clemson. Texas has been picked to be the favorite to win the SEC. Penn State at the Big Ten Media Days picked to be the favorite to win the Big Ten. Those are your power conferences. Who's the favorite to win the Big 12? Hell if I know.
I think it's Kansas State by a hair, technically.
I saw a graph yesterday that every team in the Big 12 has at least a 2% chance to win the conference on the metrics. It's like, well, even the 16th team. But that's how it was last year.
Rodriguez's Mountaineers in
By the way,
1?
Speaking of returning production, the team with the second most returning production in the country behind Clemson is Arizona State.
Yeah, Kenny Dillingham, baby.
Who won that conference last year with Sam Leavitt, who I think is a really good quarterback.
We know he's a good quarterback. Let's
Third most returning production as you're making your over-under wagers, Illinois. 76%, including the quarterback. That's why a lot of people like them as a trendy pick in the Big Ten. And then fourth most returning production. Plus, they've invested heavily with some fossil fuel money in the portal, Texas Tech.
That'd be Texas Tech.
The Ramblin' Wreck of Texas
David
Tech.
Bailey goes there.
That's Georgia Tech.
Oof, man.
Fifth most returning production. Kennesaw State. Sorry, Kennesaw State.
Oh, good for the Owls.
Ahead of Texas A&M.
Is that year 2 for D1 football for them? There you go.
So those are some teams to watch. Clemson.
Jordan Tyson going back to Arizona State. That's that stud wide receiver. He's going to be great with Sam Leavitt. Texas State's got to go out there this year.
And I will say, we told you yesterday the composite, we got to get to a break and talk to our buddy Jerry Hamilton, but the composite of the 11 different preseason top 25s, they have Clemson at 4.